Here we have an editor in his natural habitat. He has just about finished his project, looking proud and pleased.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Crazy Wise Beast. Today we're going to talk about the Beast of Gévaudan. Story from exactly. This story is from 18th century France, 1764, October 24th, or maybe October 10th. I have to double check again. But as it's been proclaimed, the Beast of Gévaudan is a kind of interesting tale. We'll just have to go through its feats first in alleged powers. But first, maybe it's a murderer. Maybe it could be an actual Mastis and a wolf hybrid of some kind, or it could be some sort of prehistoric animal that we had no idea that somehow survived all that time, or it could be a mecha wolf that was time displaced because the Hadron Collider fucked up again. Well, let's go through some of its alleged, abilities and abnormal paranormal powers, such as the Beast of Gévaudan could apparently walk or run on water. It could jump 10 foot or higher walls, and apparently bullets were ineffective against its height. It could regenerate from bullet wounds as some weird furry Wolverine X-Men mutant type character. Some have proclaimed the Beast of Gévaudan was the size of 2 wolves, and some people also proclaimed the Beast of Gévaudan to also be the size of a small horse. Unusual eyewitness accounts and also some contemporary art shows that the Beast of Gévaudan's tail is unusually long, more in line with big cats such as leopards and tigers and lions. It had also some tufted hair at the end. If you don't know what that means, it just means it has a lot more extra hair at the end of its tail, similar to a lion. Some eyewitness accounts say the fur was more tawny or red. It also had a black stripe at the back. That's unusual. And a heart-shaped pattern at its belly, which is the most ridiculous I heard. Some eyewitness accounts also say it could walk on its hind legs, or some people say it could run on its hind legs. Through 1764 to 1767, had over 100 victims, preferably attacking women and children, teenagers. And you're asking me, how about the livestock, such as cows, goats, chickens, and sheep? Not a lot has been reported on that. It doesn't mean it didn't attack the animals. It probably did. It's just probably been eyewitness accounted. That's probably it. The first eyewitness attack Beast of Gévaudan was in the summer of 1764. A young woman, Marie Gévaudan, sorry for the mispronunciation, she was attending cattle in the Marcois region of Gévaudan, forest of Marcois, and then she was attacked by the Beast of Gévaudan that came out of the woods, intent to kill her. Her cattle formed a protective circle around her and drove the beast away from her. Again, it tried attacking her later on, and it got driven away by her cattle once again. Unfortunately, that did not stop the beast, because after that, its first confirmed kill was 14-year-old Jim Bolet. I'm sorry again for the mispronunciation. Was killed in or around Lagonia. But you're asking yourself, why did she not carry herself a firearm or anything like that? Well, peasants were not allowed to have guns of any kind whatsoever to defend themselves or to participate in hunts. That was given to the royals and nobility. So peasantries had basically farm tools at their hands to only defend themselves. When it comes to a large animal such as bears or as the Beast of Gévaudan, that's probably not an effective self-defense mechanism. That's more than likely going to cause yourself to get killed. So now we know why she didn't have a gun, or the other woman didn't have a gun. Times back then didn't allow you to have guns. Wolf attacks were not unheard of. Wolf attacks were well known back then, and peasantry people thought that was just a common thing back then, to be attacked by wolves and be eaten. That's just one of the hardships of life back then. But the frequency and ferocity of the attacks were so unusual, it had to get its own special classification for the people for this particular beast, which is the Beast of Gévaudan. The people of Gévaudan had waged war against wolves of all kinds to defend themselves against these horrific attacks. Some have proclaimed the Wolf of Gévaudan had 6 fingers on each hand, had a greyhound head, and one pope had proclaimed that God's punishment, I don't know why would God punish his own children, that France has lost the 7 Years' War, and this is God's way of punishing the French for losing such a war. That doesn't make sense to a loving, benevolent God. It sure makes sense if it was Hades. A local official, Etienne Levin, sorry again, had recommended that women and children had stayed in the company of men with armed guns. In rural France back in the 18th century, that was probably impractical back then, because they barely made enough money back then to pay their landlords, and barely had enough time as well to spend with the women and children. Farmers, or the men, took care of the crops. The women and children took care of the sheep or the cattle or such. The killings became even more brutal, horrific in some cases. After so many mutilated victims, dead casualties, bodies, just survivors that had become shredded. In the following year, some witnesses or some people had thought that instead of one individual or one great beast, it was a pack of them. That could have been possible. In January 1765, 10-year-old Jake Bordeaux and his 7 friends, or 10, were attending their flock of sheep until they were attacked by the beast of gévaudan. They all were scared at the time, so they drove off the beast with makeshift pikes after a lengthy long skirmish or battle, as you may say. Fortunately, unfortunate events had caught Louis XV's attention. The French king at the time proceeded to send his army to deal with this thing. And Jean Boutet-Bazile, he was a veteran of the 7 Years' War, and he himself was still dishonored from the 7 Years' War that had happened and the France had lost from. He and his squadron of dragoons, no, they were not riding dragon motorcycles, would be awesome though. They were just regular cavalrymen who looked for the beast of gévaudan, permanently end this scenario once and for all and bring patriotism back to the nation of France. Oh, my sweet, sweet summer soldier child, if only you knew. Also, in some documentation, it said that Louis XV also sent around 30,000 men also to deal with this thing. For 3 to 4 months, the beast of gévaudan kept on fighting with the troops of France. Already insulting enough. In some cases, even his own men had disguised as women in his orders, and even then, the beast of gévaudan was not going to go and bite them. Probably wasn't by. They escorted women and children for 12 to 8 days in 8 different villages, which was sad already, and this was already hurting the people of France's morale. And in one case, he almost had the beast in his sights, but his men spooked it and it ran away. Oh boy. And one time, Duhamel had organized 20,000 citizens to go beat their sticks or tools at the brush so that way they could scare the beast towards his men and they could shoot the damn thing. Well, now it escaped from his grasp over that period of time and he started proclaiming the beast's grandeur, the bigness, and its overall threatness and paranormal abilities because he didn't want to look bad in front of the king. Who wouldn't? But then again, you're asking me, how about taxonomists? Should they be involved in this? Are they interested in this? Were they discovering what the beast of gévaudan was? Actually, yes they were. Apparently, who knew? They were working tirelessly through the days and nights to figure out what the fuck was this thing. Some had proclaimed it was a escaped hyena from a royal's, zoo. Well, actually, they're both the same. And some had said it was a spotted lion. I don't know what a spotted lion now looks like besides a cub. Or some had proclaimed the usual, it was some sort of dog-wolf hybrid, or maybe a mastiff and a wolf hybrid. This was starting to embarrass the French king a little too much, so he sent in professional hunters. And King Louis sent his own wolf hunting dogs as well. Not the kind that hunt furries though. Jean Charles Daval and his son, Jean-Francois, that one was easy for me, to finally beat this beast, to use their duel monsters to duel the beast of gévaudan and finally beat his ass. Nah, they didn't do duel monsters and none of that. And most certainly they didn't do a good job either of stopping this horrific beast. But you think men who have hunted and captured and killed over 1,200 wolves or 300 wolves, well, you think that would be good, right? So the duel had a complaint and more of a fuss about, duels and his cavalrymen's loud marching and also stationed everywhere looking for the damn beast because for them, stealth is the most important thing to do, as any hunter would tell you to do. Hell, this was not easy to handle with. After multiple attempts of hunting down this damn thing, the captain himself started to believe the supernatural powers even more than before of the beast, believing for some reason it's the father of a lion and the mother of some unknown beast. Okay, sure. Insult the hunters and the men. One little boy, Jacques Dufay, attacked the beast with a bayonet or bow to save his friend. Oof. Louis XV was actually quite proud of him and actually bring him to France, paid and to give him a proper education. How nice of him. He must be hiding his great shame for his men. Oof. You're not the only one. Putin is. Unfortunately, the news was not just localized in France. Most of the news also went locally around the world. All over the world. Everyone heard this very sad, unfortunate battles of the beast of gévaudan. And people from Boston in England started to make fun of the French. As you should. Not good for the folks of France because they don't want to be made fun of after they're losing the 7 Years' War and losing to a supernatural furry that can't be killed. And to add further insult to injury, one satirical article in London had proclaimed that beast had ate the entire French army. Oh boy. The 15th's own personal guard and also personal hunter, Francois Antoine, and his nephew. Unfortunately, help could not came for one poor innocent French little girl and her older sister, 19-year-old Marie Jean Valette, when she was trying to cross the Merlog Bridge over the river. Unfortunately, the beast that came and attacked her. And Therese, with her homemade spear, or she picked up a spear, had started to battle the beast with her bare hands and started to punch the beast with awesome super explosions rippling and destroying the universe, causing destruction and decay, and they were destroying everything. People were burning in hell. God himself came and shoot fiery wolf blasts of laser beams into the beast and her until Dunga himself with his fro saved the day. Nah, that didn't really happen. I just got bored. Find me and she screamed for help and thrusting her spear into the beast's chest, raising the beast's forelegs up in the air. Man, what has this girl been doing? Bench pressing cattle? Almost immediately the beast withdrew. Men came to help her and they found out her spear was covered in blood and everything. And then, unlike most people would say, oh, this is what the beast may look like or how it may, she simply said it looked like a large farm dog. Okay, nice. Fun fact, she has a statue about her encounter with the beast still to this day, still standing, which is in the French village of Avers. Next time I'll do better, to just tell the facts of the names, And Antoine started hunting for another 3 months to deal with this beast once and for all, this despicable furry, and shot the beast near Abbey at Chas. Antoine stayed behind while he sent his son in with a taxidermy of the beast and received titles and rewards and land. And the people were kind of a bit unsurprised because they were thinking after hearing all this abilities, the powers, the unusual features, and mixed match of body parts and unusual characteristics, you'd think this thing would be hulking giant furry wolf beast of some sort, but it was a regular wolf. So Antoine stayed behind to hunt down the female and its 2 cubs, and once and for all to end the beast and its menace. He did kill the mate, not wife. Wolves do not get marriage. He did kill the cub. He said it was unusually big for its size because it was bigger both than its parents. Oh no. What was this baby doing? Bench pressing also cattle with the girl? Were they gym bros? Or Jim Bro and Doodad. And at the events afterwards, when Antoine came back to Paris and then celebrated his victory, fate said, nah, bitch. Today's the day where I strike back with my furries. And she did. Unfortunately, the French citizen had asked for help once again from the military. And the king said no, because the beast has finally been defeated and they don't want to stir up shit again and then get made fun of again internationally. The folks of Gévaudan once again had to face against the beast or beasts of Gévaudan. And unfortunately, the attacks ramped up. They either carried grudges or they were planning to kill a shit ton of people. And now we get to a little bit more of unusual part of the story. So the local officials had started to organize local hunts for themselves to fight off this beast. And one local hunter, or slayer as you may say, amateur hunter John Chestel, shot and killed a huge wolf using a homemade caliber gun and also make homemade bullets made out of silver. Interesting enough, that's where silver bullets came from that could effectively kill wolves. It's from Chestel's events killing the beast at Gévaudan. That's why it's so interesting that you use silver bullets against wolves. No other bullet can do it. He could do it. No professional dragoon, or no professional hunter or military man or captain could ever do, which was to actually kill the damn thing, and actually succeeded. Or did he just kill one individual and unfortunately they will return with so much beef later, like mecha wolves? And July 17th, 1767 was the day that the beast stopped hunting innocent people and the beast was finally slain. Now they performed autopsies on the damn thing. And yes, they found human remains in the beast's belly. Shoulders, thighs, bones, heads, you name it, they found it. Experts have also agreed with the citizens of the land that it was not one individual, it was not a individual pack that were killing people, but different types of packs that were killing people. Yes, packs. More than 1 or 2. Yeah, I know. Them French back then were fucked. Oui. which was the most likely breed or breeds was the Eurasian wolf or the Akrak wolf, which was most likely strong enough to take down cattle, pups. Now we had to wonder what were these beasts or man. Unfortunately, some people have come to the conclusion and probably put the pieces together that it was most likely a rampaging serial killer dressed as a wolf and was killing women and children, because in some cases they found the murder victims' bodies were murdered women, their clothes were nicely neatly folded. Why would any apex predator give a damn to fold someone else's clothing, let alone even know how to do it? I don't know. To add credence to why this beast was targeting women and children. But then again, the question asks again, how do you survive from bullets? Well, you could say, well, he wore boar hide somehow. Well, then how could he still survive from bullets and also spears and forks and, I don't know, makeshift pikes? That doesn't even make sense, folks. And still to this day, scholars are still trying to figure out what the fuck is this thing. And could it be possible that it could return to France in the future, but this time in metallic, cold, hard, grade A steel? Would you able to withstand nuclear firepower and a whole lot of fuck yous to France? Africa would like that. And if that's the case, well, knowing the French of today, they would not survive. They wouldn't. Probably German. Or could it be actually some sort of unusual, well, large wolf of some kind? You know, just one of those unusual individuals. 1 out of 10, you know, just is unusually larger than the rest of its kind. Well, if that's the case, then why were there packs of large-ass wolves? Large wolves aren't usually friendly to each other. They usually have to compete and they have to fight anymore. And they have to be a lot more nicer to tolerate each other. You have to be nice, folks, to tolerate one another. If you ain't, well, you're gonna have a whole lot of fist fights, or I guess bite fights. It's best to leave the beast of gévaudan unknown and discovered, and probably not to be found out what the hell this actually could be. Who knows, or maybe it is escaped lions or hyenas from like some zoo, or just one escaped lion and one escaped hyena. Then you might be asking, why did no one report? In 18th century France, when the execution rate was pretty good and you would probably not get even a fair trial? Are you fucking with me? Would you even want to get a trial for that? You fucking goof. You goofy. You might be saying, how about the hyenas? Like the spotted hyena. Spotted hyenas, yeah, it could have happened. It could have been in some noble zoo. And yes, it could have escaped, but spotted hyenas are not man-eaters nor man-killers. They fear man. Well, how about a lion? Yeah, a lion could have been it. But then again, my question comes to you. Wouldn't a lion be unable to survive the winters for those 3 years, let alone even one winter? People have proclaimed Jean Vestel had a criminal record for hunting animals illegally with arms and armaments. And he was put into trial in prison for that. So it could be possible that Javel could have been the one basically raising this half-breed ass wolf dog hybrid, teaching it how to kill people and how to sufficiently murder them in the most brutal way possible. So when it came facing him, the creature was docile and tame and was pretty much happy to see its most likely mama. Yes, I know I said mama, because when usually an animal would imprint you, you're motherly, because mothers are more warm and calm and peaceful than your father. Makes sense. Dads always get forgetting. Chastel found the beast. It most likely was going to be docile with him, may want to be playing with him. And unfortunately or fortunately, it was shot. When Chastel came to the royal court, showed them the dead body, he did not taxiderm it, nor did he properly storage the damn thing from decay. So when he showed it to folks, the body was already decayed and rotted in such a way it was probably near impossible to identify as a wolf without being repulsed. And when people said, and when they saw the damn thing, they said it didn't look like a wolf. Honestly, it probably didn't, because it was decaying at that point to such a degree it didn't look like one. Remember Marie, when she saw the great beast of gévaudan, and she said it looked like a giant barn dog? That would probably make sense. But then you're asking me, how about all those attacks from all those other individualistic? Yeah, they could be just regular wolves that are attacking people. And unfortunately, the press may have honed on this because they were barred back then from talking about politics. Innocent women and children getting murdered by a supernatural wolf demon beast pretty much fit the bill for tabloids. And that would probably make more sense what happened. Leaping above 10-foot walls, running across waters, the unusual heart-shaped pattern throughout its belly, or or even the long furry tail that looks more like a cat. Yeah, it could be a big cat, and that big cat may not have survived in the winter, may or may not. I'm not quite sure if it had enough food to eat. Some people have also hypothesized it could have been one of the last few surviving prehistoric animals, like a bear dog or a cave hyena or a dire wolf. None of these animals could have survived that long without being spotted by any European nation, without being captured, hunted, or without being in a zoo in itself, or being studied. No, they'll probably be valued in their fur pelts as well, or if not, they will be spoken in lore and stories a lot more, or if they were around, they would possibly not been survived from the Romans of all people. Probably not a bear dog, let alone a cave hyena. That's unplausible. Could you retell the story of the gévaudan beast in modern media? No, probably not, especially with Hollywood. They'll probably make him gay and furry and retarded all at the same time, just because he's French. But how about indie tellings of it, like indie games or comics, movies, or TV shows? Yeah, you could. Could you tell it as the beast of gévaudan? Probably not, because it's probably the people over there probably carry it in such a prestige way and probably makes them a little happy in telling the story, and probably, or maybe I'm wrong, maybe they do want to hear about the beast of gévaudan. And well, could you incorporate factors into this? Yes, actually you can. Previous people have done it. The silver bullets, for instance, to kill werewolves or be one of those man-beast-wolf hybrids. Just exclude the part about it had to turn in full moon. You could say it turns into a wolf when it gets aggressive. Or you could say, if you wanted to tell something similar to the beast of gévaudan, say there are two different beasts of gévaudan, but let's just say they're not in France. You just coincidentally call them that, and let's just say one's a nice friendly wolf that just doesn't give a damn about people, and another one is a murderer. Just say the nice one wants to kill the bad one, and the nice one did kill the bad one, but the nice one's now going to be killed by a bunch of people. You could tell that. You could tell a whole scenario, story, plot lines. You could make it work. People like to hear about the unfortunate monster being framed for another monster's murder. It's not, I wouldn't say a market, it's an unusual group of people that has not been tapped yet in storytelling and make it interesting enough to pull it off. Then again, you could have said the same thing 30 years ago about Pokemon to somebody, and they would laugh at you saying, why would kids want pocket monsters? Or why would they even be friends with monsters at all? It doesn't make sense. Until Pokemon showed up, and then people were proven wrong, or people were just proven more confused than before. Yeah, you could tell the beast of gévaudan many different ways. You could take aspects of it and incorporate it into your own monster. It doesn't have to be a wolf exactly. It can be any kind of creature you want. Again, it's up to you how you want to tell your beast. It doesn't have to be based on the beast of gévaudan. It doesn't have to be 100% someone else's monster. It doesn't have your own indie idea, but treat it as you would in this story, like awe and shock of how this thing killed so many people. And look, I think the latest total count people have estimated was 113 deaths it had caused. Tell the suspenseful tales of how this thing could have killed, or just tell how this thing liked to be left alone when it killed its twin or unfriendly neighbor. The limits of this is technically limitless. You yourself are only limited in how to tell this tale. I will tell this in the story series that I'm making for you guys. If you watch my story, how to make good stories for beginnings, then yes, then I'll tell you guys how to make good stories. We'll get there. Oh yeah, alright folks, I gotta go to a trial because they busted my ass for finding out I've been smuggling a lot of drugs apparently for Harry Potter over the years to Africa and North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia, and Antarctica. I don't know why Antarctica. And unfortunately we crossed over to space DeGrasse Tyson, and oh boy, you don't mess with his drug routes. Potter was a real good drug dealer. You think J.K. Rowling got money because she was in fucking royalty checks? No. Oh, my sweet pothead. No, it was drug money. Rolling in that dough, rolling in that weed ass dough. Oh yeah, and also, happy Halloween everyone. Yes, enjoy the trick-or-treating. Don't forget to visit the like button, don't forget to fire the subscribe button on a rocket, get a cable company for that. Here's my Instagram account, I like the name, I'm keeping it. Here's my Amino, and here's also my Reddit, as well as my ArtStation. Alright, and my Anger too.
Let's go!